Eric and Tony Show. I'm Eric. This is Tony.
I'm Tony.
This is the show. That's Mark.
Hey,
Owner of
man,
Mastermind Media, the place where this magic will all happen.
Engineer extraordinaire, man of many talents.
Have you guys been practicing that all week?
Entrepreneur.
All right. So something that's been pissing me off that I've been seeing lately for many years, and it bugs the shit out of me. It's fucking people shaving their beards wrong. All the time.
Says the guy with that facial hair. Okay. I'm one of the, I see him every day. He's the guy. He pisses me off
I
every
have a
morning.
stupid haircut and a stupid facial hair, but
It's done well.
it's done right.
Yeah.
Even though it looks wrong, it's done right? So all the time I see guys, they shave their beards and they don't go, you should go like you're cutting your neck off, like you're cutting your head off. Like that's where your beard line is, like there. So if you grow a beard, it goes there, right? Starts.
No, dude, it should be
starts
jawline.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
No.
Yeah,
I don't get anything past here. I get a little.
Yeah.
I'm still. It's Tony and I had a
You're
bet.
about 20 years away from getting a full beard, but once you get there,
No, you can't have like the fucking like strap on your thing and draw your own jawline. It has to be like, it should be here. It should come like wherever your jaw is. It should come underneath there. It should be
no, dude,
below
'cause
your
it's right
neck.
here. It looks like a belly shirt on your fucking Adam's apple.
No, not that low. Like your neck, like here. That's
It
my
should
neck.
be where your chin hits the neck.
Right, but most I see it all the time. People like draw it up on there, like it's like fucking like.
It's unbalanced in a way.
Yeah, it's like
or
a
just-
comb over for your chin. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
It's not even that because they can grow the hair there. It's just like they just
Yeah, but they're
choose
trying to get
to
like a Fat Joe chiseled jaw.
yeah, there, yeah, or something.
like
Or
a-
I don't know. Sometimes not. Sometimes you'll see people at work all the time. I'm like, how the no one fucking told you that looks all
You
Dude,
think
I'll be
maybe
honest,
you-
man. I'm a member of the clean shave club, right? So I usually a clean shaven guy. But what blows my mind is you see another guy that has a clean shave and they have the longest nose hairs ever. I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? You're literally face in the mirror with a razor, making sure you're not cut, but you don't notice those hairs that are just sticking
Yeah.
out. Like they're tickling the top of your lip. That blows my mind.
Do you think some people are just kind of dated with it, or is just a lack of talent?
I think they're just unaware of it.
Yeah.
Like they just don't know. Like because it's not even a dated thing. It's just like they just.
Well, that
we're-
brings us to the next topic.
No
We'll
one
talk
was
about
like, "Hey,
lack of
dude,
dadding.
like your
No, no.
beard's all fucked up." Like no one like just pulled him aside and said, "Hey, like next time just learn."
I know you didn't have a father in the house, but that's not how you shave.
Well, some of us, it took us 30 years to start even getting a little something, and then it came in red, and we're like, and now that it's starting to grow, now it's coming in gray. I'm like, I just got here.
That was a big thing for you, Mark. I
Yeah.
remember like you and Tony both were trying to.
I think I owe him $500.
You do owe me. Yeah.
We bet. What was the bet? The bet was in like 5 years I would have a full beard.
As much of a beard that I had at the time.
I mean, if you're looking at it, mine's a little bit.
I think
Fuller.
No,
I think Mark's winning.
No.
Dude,
I mean, currently,
apart from this patch I have here, the rest of this shit.
But you kind of have like a Keanu Reeves
I do have
kind
a
of
Keanu
like
Reeves
beard
beard, yeah.
that you.
how
grow
so?
out.
What it did? It's
Like
not-
it's very like patchy.
It
and
doesn't
not-
look like I don't have like a good dapper beard. I have like a, hey man, is everything all right? Yeah. Yeah, you need help or
Your
something?
beard.
Yeah,
it's like your
go-
beard's been
yeah.
through some shit.
Yeah,
Dude,
dude,
you
you
okay,
okay?
man?
Yeah,
The pandemic hit everyone hard, but
So is this the same thing
Do
for
you
you?
have mange?
So Eric, you have like a full beard, perfect,
I
whatever
can
you wanted.
I'll sneeze and it just
But
comes out.
so for me, I look at people like you, like, damn, I wish I fucking had that. And then, but are you like, yeah, I'm glad I have it, or are you like, fuck, I have to shave every day?
See, I don't do the straight razor shave like him because
Mm-hmm.
I get I get like rashes and like zits and stuff or whatever. Like it's a shaver rash, or I think it's called something like that.
It's called being a bitch, but-
So I've literally I haven't
Zing. Got
save
him.
it for the stage, Tony. I haven't done like a straight razor shave in probably like 15 years. I just do like the lowest of like the beard trimmer, and just do that way. And then I found out too, my grandfather used to do
You're
that.
just talking
where-
shit about people being like shitty shavers and stuff, and the lowest guard is like it's the training wheels for shaving. Like you could really. Have
I know
a
how
really
to shave though.
Yeah, I know, but you could have a really clean shave. You just got to pull it more. Dude, you get yourself a nice barber brush and brush.
I've done
out
all of it. I've done
Now
like
you
the
have
soak
it.
in my face, putting the oils on after, and then like just my face and like my neck gets like all rashed out, and I'm just like, and then I'm like, it's just not worth it for me.
I literally just take the razor. Sometimes, like I have my whole process down where I have the beard trimmer and I'll do it like even just like a half
Just
now.
put it on the side and just take a washcloth. And wash it.
Yeah. What
I don't need you.
Wet your hands
Yeah.
and just start.
It turns out it's just dirt.
But then as it grows out, but you'll be surprised what I can do with just a regular razor with when you have the lack of hair on your face. It's kind of like a gone.
Yeah. It's like blowing a
Do
dandelion.
you remember in high school when we had that kind of facial hair?
Can't have it all, Tony. Can't have it all.
But yeah, for the excessive amount of facial hair that I can grow and all that, the top of my head, not so much. There, I'm just kind of grasping at straws, like just trying to hold on to what I got.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
What's the game plan there?
The game plan has been using Rogaine for the last 20 years, and this is what happens.
So it works.
So Rogaine like basically just like puts a pause on the hair that you have and tries to not let it get any worse than it is. So this is like 20 years ago what it was looking like, and I just kind of hit the pause button on it. So like just like kind of Indiana Jones my hair, like I got the hat right before the door closed, kind of a deal.
Wow.
But
Yeah, in case you've never heard this story, we'll share it for our listeners. Eric and I, when we were doing construction, we had the same health insurance, and we went to a dermatologist together and had a joint consultation, which is probably not up to code.
probably
for
not legal.
doctors. Yeah,
Probably not legal.
but either way, he took samples of both of our scalps and came in and was like, Mr. Rustler, you have signs of male pattern baldness. Mr. Klein, you don't. And I'm like, I don't know that you didn't switch the tests, and I'm not gonna and I've always thought I was going bald, so I've also been taking Rogaine for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I remember when
Just
you guys
fucking-
were before.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
I started getting a little thin and like thinking like whatever, but now I don't know. I just
No, you got good hair too, though.
Yeah.
Tony's in denial that he has good hair. He's always like trying to do
it's great.
like, oh god, I'm going bald. And he's talking to a guy with like a fucking comb over me and shit. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude?
I'm like, oh man, it's rough for us guys.
Yeah, but you're even
Even
like
like
you're,
bald guys, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You have more hair. than
and your hairline like works for you. It's like
But I finally I'm old enough to have this hairline because I've had the same hairline since I was a teenager and shit. So like a 14-year-old
further proof
kid,
that you're not like going
No,
bald.
I know, but it's just like I think there's like, and also too, man, it's funny with like trick photography and filters and shit. Like sometimes I'll see a picture, I'm like, my hair was so fucking thick then. I'm like, nah, it's the lighting and just.
Your brother's got thick hair too.
My brother does have thick hair.
And not to mention when we look at a picture, we look at the whole thing. But when you look at your picture of yourself, you're like, oh shit, look at this all thin. It's like
Yeah.
no, everybody else is looking at the whole thing.
All I look at in my pictures is like, God, the bags in my eyes are huge, and I'm going bald. That's it. It's the only thing.
Waistline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waistline doesn't. It's always the same.
Gray hairs are new. That's a new thing. The
Oh,
past
yeah?
like 5 years.
Yeah.
I like it. I think gray hair is cool as fuck.
I have a funny video I want to do because like my first like patch is like right here. If you guys can see it, the little cluster. And I was gonna say like, hey, listen, are you dealing with like a cluster like this? This is how you fix it. And then like zoom in on it, and then literally just do my whole head blonde because I'm gonna go back to blonde in like 2 days.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
listen, if you want to get rid of a couple gray hairs, watch simple fix. It's like fucking doing the whole thing. Ta-da!
Yeah, I
Never know.
The gray hair thing is, I mean, and I have it in my beard now too. It's starting to sprout out, and
Yeah.
I'm like, my dad had this cool thing where like for a long time he just had like a streak on his beard. I've
You got a
only known
streak
my
up here,
dad
right?
ever for-
That's
yeah.
fucking awesome. That's gonna be your thing.
That's like your Jay Leno streak.
It's been like-
Yeah,
Jay
we're
Leno
like,
had that,
we're
didn't
like,
he?
I think that's when you're really gonna pop off.
I've been waiting for it to come in, just really set my career off, Boy,
Really hit
this
that
hair will
streak.
fucking pop.
It is kind of like one of those things of like, oh shit, like part of my body's dying. Like something's like,
Yeah, I mean, so many men deal with whether it's gray hair or balding, and you see all of these different things. If you click on one of them, keeps, you're like, now they're just like, here's another one, another one.
Hims and that's and thems.
It's what is it? Minoxidil and Propecia are the only clinically proven medical like treatments to actually prevent hair from falling out and to maybe.
Would you
grow
ever shave
a
it?
little bit.
Would you ever just shave it?
No, I tried to do that one time, like long time ago. I think like I was like 20 or something. I was like, I'll just be like a shaved head guy,
Yeah.
And that was before I was like even like taking any Rogaine and shit. And my head's all fucked up. My parents probably dropped me so many times that I didn't know about. And, like I have like those dents and shit and like lumps and like side of it's like flat and like
I had to
it's
go
like all weird.
I had to
Like,
go bald.
cigarette marks
Yeah.
when you put out like, fucking stupid kid. His
What the fuck did you do to me? How did this happen?
I had to go. I had to shave my head for a commercial. What was it for? Like Capital One or something. But I was playing a guy that was basic training or something like that, or like whatever. And we were on a beach though. However, they would do it here, not how they would do it in Michigan or Wisconsin. And they're like, you have to shave your head. And I was like, fuck. At first, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And I hung up and I asked my friend. I was in Toronto at the time, about to fly back, and I'm like, hey, you think I should shave my head for this thing? He's like, nah. And then he went back to sleep and he gets back up and goes, no, why not? Try it. And I was like, I'm like, okay, fine. And that was like what pushed me over the edge. And then I did it. And then I had like more, this is when I was auditioning all the time. I went and did that commercial. And then all of my auditions, I started getting all these callbacks because I wasn't just like another white dude with hair. I was like the guy, I was like the slightly edgy guy.
But you have a cool ball, like if you shave, like,
you gotta get
you know,
shaved head.
Yeah, but I never thought I would, and I still, I'm used to it now. But my favorite, this girl comes up to me one time. She was like, "Wow, you look like you have a lot of tattoos."
That's funny, and that's something none of us have tattoos, right?
No, I'm
None of
going
us-
to eventually, but
You're gonna do it. You're gonna pull
Yeah.
the trigger. What do you think you're gonna get?
I don't know. That's the thing. I just need the
Some, like,
first
flowers
one.
and shit,
I'm gonna do my great grandfather right here. Like you have a picture of him with his like draft ticket and stuff, like my
Okay.
artistic inspiration. Only thing is we look alike, so it's almost look like me from like 1917. Like
I time travel. That's me in the future.
I love tattoos, and I follow a bunch on like all the social media platforms and stuff because artists, I think that stuff's so cool and so fascinating how they make something so detailed. Like, and you ever watch it like up close?
Yeah.
It's like, how is that coming out so like?
it's the needle too. It's like the fine needle or something like that. That shit's so dope.
But it like when they're doing it, even the fine needle stuff, all you see is just like ink everywhere, and like I'm like, how are you even seeing what the fuck
And then
you're
they rub-
doing?
yeah, then they
they
rub it,
rub
and
it,
it's
it's
like, oh.
perfect. I'm like, that's
But
crazy.
so you're against getting tattoos, but you like the art, or do you think you ever
Yeah,
would
I'm
get
not
one?
like against them.
For
Like,
you.
I think they look cool on people and all that stuff, but I'm just like I'm not a commitment person. It's being with
Hence dragging Larissa around the last 10 years.
yeah, been in a relationship for like 10 years, not married or anything like. But I don't know. Like I have like these weird dreams of like I had one like last year that I remember. I had it was a nightmare that I got Iron Man, like like he has like that thing on his palm or whatever, like that. I got that tattooed on my fucking arm, like an arm sleeve.
Just so Eric, right?
Which is, I don't even want, like, I'm not an Iron Man fanboy
about
or
the
anything like
Marvel
that.
universe.
And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I remember, like, in the dream, I'm like, oh my God, I got an Iron Man tattoo. Why do I have an Iron Man tattoo? And I was
Yeah.
freaking out in my dream. Yeah, I woke up, I was like, oh my God. Like, I don't know what, just even certain things I thought that I would like never change. Like I grew up Catholic and I was like, oh yeah, I'll get a cross, or something
Probably
like
get
my
a
religion,
cross.
like things I would never change, my
Big
opinions
Celtic
about.
cross on my back.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, fast forward 10 years or whatever, and I'm like, I'm like basically atheist, and so I'm like, oh, that good thing I didn't like go down that road or do that.
But I think there's a certain point in time where now you know who you are, and there's
I
like
don't know. I just like
to a certain extent. Like I think
if I do get anything, it would be something like for a loved one or someone that I care about.
mine has to
something
be
like
storytelling. Like I want to get to the point where I just need that first one.
Like
I'm so
Mementos,
glad.
all riddles and shit and clues.
Yeah, like how to.
Like,
yeah,
is that
to
a
get
license plate? Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big clue.
It was like
It's a big indicator.
my first time ever trying. I might have told you guys this, but the first time I tried smoking this new hybrid weed, and I was down the street, and I smoked. I started kicking in. I was like tricking myself, like, oh shit, what if I can't find my way home after this? Oh shit. I'm like literally right down the street. But like if I would have had a map on my arm, then I wouldn't have freaked out.
There I am.
Yeah, but no, I'm glad I didn't get anything yet. There are a lot of people that it works for them to get a bunch, and then it doesn't matter if it's anything meaningful.
Yeah.
I want to tell this. I want it to be storytelling. I don't know how many I'll get.
Yeah.
but it'll be slow and.
It better
and
be a story that's consistent, so it's not like scratch over that one. This is the next part of the story. It's a redo.
yeah,
It's just like even with like any kind of like art or design or music or anything that I'm doing, I like overanalyze everything. Like just for the logo, like this logo, like I worked on this thing for like 5 years and like constantly redoing it and changing little things, little tiny tweaks that like people that see it wouldn't even know that it changed. Like I showed this to so many people and they're like, what's the difference between these 20 designs? Like, and I'm like, oh, this one has this going this way. And this has the little dog in there is, like his foot's up.
like,
instead of
that's a
down.
dog?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a dog on there. Like so many little things. So I think I would basically bring that over into like a tattoo, and I would not have that control to fix or do something once it's on there.
might be good for you.
It would, or it would like break
go.
me. It would absolutely break
What happened
me
to
down.
Eric?
Like just
he lost all of his hair. He's got a bunch of tattoos.
got a tattoo. Yeah.
Things aren't good for him.
Yeah.
Before my grandfather passed away, he had a couple tattoos, I think, but he had Arlene, my grandmother's name, on his arm. And over the years, you couldn't read it anymore or whatever. But
Just said lean.
yeah, but my dad,
Your lean, my lean, who gives a shit?
yeah, they had a long, happy marriage. Okay, no, but my dad didn't have any tattoos. But I had this idea. I was like, I know I got my grandpa will do it. I just have to get my dad to do it. What if we do a documentary of us just telling stories and really just extracting the stories from my grandfather, and we all go get the same tattoo together. Let's go do that. And I was like, all right, let me talk to my dad first. Like, I know he's gonna be the tough one to sell. My dad was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, all right, awesome.
No way.
Hey, Grandpa, we're gonna do this.
Doesn't have a tattoo.
Doesn't have any. And I go to my grandpa. My grandpa's like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. I'm like, God damn it, I thought you were gonna be the tough one. I thought my dad was gonna be tough to sell.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when I get older, I'll just be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, tattoo my face. I don't give a shit. You know? And people are always like, oh, what about when you're older and you're gonna, you're gonna have that tattoo? No, you're gonna look fucking crazy when you're older anyway. If you live to be 80 or 90, like you're fucking crazy
I don't
looking.
know, man. My dad has like some.
A tattoo would be the
service
least
tattoo.
crazy thing looking about you. Yeah, it'd be the newest thing on you. Really, you'd be like,
you
this is
waited
a
that
fucking
long.
2020
Well, then
tattoo.
then
Everything
you
else
have
of me
like
is
a
like fucking from 80 years
brand
ago.
new paint job on this like weathered old skin and shit too.
Still, I mean, it's.
I'm not saying anything. I mean, I have 0 tattoos as well.
Do you think you will ever get one?
No, I do on this long. I have, and everybody in my family has tattoos, and there's the one thing that kind of is like difference. I'm like, I just never got the shit. And Robin doesn't have any tattoos, and just kind of like we're a rare couple of 2 people.
I was kind of like collect scars. I look at that as like my version of tattoos, because like every scar that I have on my body, I'm like, oh, I remember that, or how that happened, or like something I did, or like fell down, or where I was, or what age I was, and all that stuff. Especially this one too.
Other side.
Like,
What's
So I was
the
hoping you remember that one.
What's the craziest scar you guys have?
I'd say the one on my face that I recently got
By the wiener dog?
by the wiener dog attacking me.
Yeah, I don't know. I
You have any stupid
I
stories?
got a lot of face scars.
Oh,
and shit.
yeah,
My
that's a
chin
bike,
split
right?
open, a motorcycle accident, and then I have a on the
Lean
other,
into
on
that
the
a little
rim
bit.
of on the rim of my chin. Like, cause my whole fucking chin has just been split open numerous times. Once I was in the bath.
Same spot. It just keeps like,
It is notorious. Like top heavy head. But I cracked my chin open in the bathtub when I was in like 2nd grade, and I was like just a calm kid. I walked to my mom like, Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital. My chin's just fucking pouring blood and shit, and I had to stitch it together. And then same year, a couple months later, I had a couple neighbors that were like the same age as me and my brother, and we did one of those like, hey, let's make a rope from one tree to another tree and kind of just tether it across. So we tied 2 jump ropes across. And I start walking out on one, I'm holding on to the other one. And immediately, as I get halfway, it's just the bottom one goes, and my foot gets caught around. I just slammed upside down, chin split open, blood everywhere again, and I get another fucking stitch there. So, like, yeah, my chin's a very vulnerable spot. But that's another thing, too, shaving, like with an actual razor. I have cut scar tissue off of my chin and had to, like, super glue it back together. Shit. You guys ever super glue yourself? That's a fucking...
Yeah, that's like the best. I like.
Who needs a doctor?
I'm duct taped myself. I have a
Duct tape super glue is the best thing for cuts.
yeah.
I don't
I
care
threw
what the doctor said.
stupidly drunkenly. What is hand? It must be this hand. But I took a can. It was a can of beer and it was open, and I threw it almost like a football, but with my finger on the end, and threw it like this, and it ripped this. Yeah, you can see that right there. A little like, and I was like, oh shit, and a couple weeks later. Good as, good as new.
I did it with my hand. We were at the apartment, and I was going to smoke a bowl and then go to the gym with another buddy of mine. And I was telling him fucking some story, and it was on the wet bar. I knocked the bong over like this, and it fell and broke, but I didn't know it broke. I was just going to catch it, and I caught the broken part, and it just stuck into my hand. And I was like, and I like put it in the sink and I start washing my hand off. I'm like, I guess we're not going to the gym. My buddy's like, oh, why? Because you broke your bong. I'm like, no, it's my fucking hand's like bleeding really. He's like bench press with this shit. But I did the same thing too. I just super glued it. Then I went to work the next day and I was like, yeah, I cut my hand polishing some glasses. So, I can work all right. Just got to get to work and make it seem like it's a work injury.
You've never called off ever, right?
No, I only called off when Robin got in the car accident.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're like, maybe I can make it. Oh.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna be late.
Dude, when I got in
Yeah, you're just there. You're like, Tony,
Maybe
just don't show up.
10 minutes late. 5.
When I got my
4
motorcycle
minutes.
accident, I showed up to work, got sent home because my chin was split open. You could see the bone in my chin. And then even when my brother and I got in a fist fight, I still went to work after the emergency room and then fucking
Showing up to
hobbled
work
around.
with like gauze around your face, like a cartoon character and shit. I'm like, you should probably
Got a
just stay
finger in a
home. He's like,
splint and
I
shit.
don't
My
know, whatever.
cheekbone was all swollen from getting punched in the face.
I think you've been losing blood for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe go take a nap.
I can't see blood though. That's the one thing. Like I can get scarred and cut myself and stuff. But
What about
like,
needles?
No, needles I'm fine. Like I used to work as a deli clerk back in the day, like a long time ago when I was a kid. And, I'd be like, hey, what kind of steak you want? You want a steak? You want some deli meat? Some ham or whatever? And we had those meat slicers. And I always remember as soon as I was working there, I was like, man, if you putting the meat on there and slicing it, like imagine cutting your finger. I fucking did it. I was like cutting some ham. I was talking to somebody. I went, yeah, and I'm like, ah. Yeah. And I just see like the tip of my finger just hanging there. And I'm just like, and I fucking like fainted. And the guy that owned it was called
Eric is notorious for fainting.
Yeah, dude, I can. Even when I
do declare.
When I got the scar on this one, I was down because it was a huge fucking hole, like gash in my face, and I'd look in the mirror and I'm like, oh
no.
And then I wake up and both times, like every time I pass out, my girls wake me up. Wake up! I'm gonna call a fucking ambulance, and I'm like, no, it's too fucking expensive. Like,
save your money.
Yeah, the guy that when I was working at the deli, his name is Vic. Vic's Prime Meats, and he's this big heavy guy. He was like 6'5", and he's just and he always smokes cigars and shit. And I cut my finger, and I'm in the back, and I'm like, and he's like, yeah, you don't look so good. And he was so big, he grabbed me with like one arm, and held me like just grabbed me from like as I was passing, like oh, and he fucking just grabs me like that, and then
damsel in distress.
Yeah, I was like oh,
been the little spoon ever since.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah,
my first big spoon.
I can't deal with like seeing that stuff. Like, thank God there's like people that like nurses and doctors and ER people, because like I just don't know how they do that shit. Like, could you imagine doing that? Like being at work, like, and say you're like hungover, or you're like, you're just like dragging ass one morning, you haven't had your cup of coffee, and like that's the first thing you're gonna see is like, all right, we need a rib separator, fucking stat, like fucking, like, and somebody's just like,
nope,
all sprawled out, like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Speaking of gross details, when Robin had our kid, we had a C-section shit, and yeah, like I honestly was like, obviously I'm excited to have a kid, right? But we knew we were having our kid, guaranteed delivery August 22nd, if not sooner, right? So we had a planned date, and every week leading up to it, I'm like, holy shit, it's only one more week till we get our baby. Just like this kind of weird mind fuck. And then we go in there, and for a C-section, they tie your arms up. She's like basically tied up in the bed. Yeah, she's tied back so she can't fight it or anything like that, because like it's a surgical procedure. So she's basically like just drawn and quartered, and then they fucking start unpacking all of her organs. And I'm standing there, and it's just this little sheet. She can't see it. She's all fucked up and like drugged up. She's like, take a video, and like she's all like looking, glassy eyed. And I'm trying to take a video, and the fucking doctor's like, you can't take video, you can take pictures. So I was trying to low key do for legal reasons. I don't know.
For legal
they didn't want any evidence that they did anything wrong.
What the fuck is illegal that you're doing right now?
I don't know.
What
should
you not be doing?
The doctor. Robin's yelling at me, and then she's like,
he's like, we've never done this before. He's
he's like, turn that off. I'm not wearing gloves. All right,
he's off.
It's again, they are.
Just got off my lunch break. Not done digesting yet.
For whatever reason, just because you're going in there for a procedure and it's like doctors doing it, I thought it'd be a little cleaner, a little less blood, but it's like a fucking trauma ward. Like this, basically, they just start unpacking shit.
Some guy just died right before your C-section.
No, when they slice it open, there's just like blood coming out. I'm like, oh my God. And she's like, how is it? I'm like, oh, it's looking good. You're fine. Don't even worry about it. And then they're fucking got the knee on there trying to push the baby out towards the little opening because they're trying to make the smallest hole possible, right? So there's not a lot of scarring. And the second, Anthony came out, and then again, babies don't come out all clean. It's just like this little bloody monster that comes out and like, fell in love with me. Yeah, I was like, that's my little bloody monster.
I hope the camera's picking up my face and Mark's face on this because, okay, as a father and, a husband, all that stuff, and all the fathers and husbands out there, how do you get past that visual in your head after seeing that?
Dude, it's
after that,
you're
like, all right, fast forward 6 months.
The next thing is they get the baby out and they're like, do you want to cut the umbilical cord? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm cutting. Who the fuck else is cutting that thing?
Like,
I'm doing it.
Yeah. You're like,
brought my own knife. It's a family heirloom. Yeah.
Turn your camera off.
Yeah. Actually, turn it back on. It's more sanitary than what we got. Is that a buck knife?
It's a monogram scissor that I got. Yeah.
You get like a 4-in-1 or whatever.
I'll sharpen it while they're fucking cut her open. No, so that when I did that though, I went on this little table, and to basically what completely overrode those like, kind of haunting memories was literally cutting Anthony's umbilical cord, and then he fucking grabbed on both my thumbs at the same time, and I'm just like a little bitch, just like fucking watery eyes and stuff. And the nurse comes over, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then we had to wear masks this is way before the pandemic.
But then you
so
just like delete all of the crazy shit you just saw of your wife's organs out of her body and all this stuff.
It's the same thing as when you fucking like have to, when your dog. Well, I guess it's like
He doesn't think he could get over it.
yeah. Okay, again, I don't really know a graphic
I
thing
don't
for a
understand
pet
that.
owner. Well, because you haven't had as many traumatizing things with Snickers that's like really gross. Because like cleaning up dog shit's one thing, right? Pulling a shit that's stuck in your dog's ass out is another thing.
Yeah, but I'm
right?
not trying to have sex with my dog.
Well, exactly. But Robin's vagina is still intact. It's a C-section, right?
Right, but I'm saying like.
If it was a blown up
the
mess,
whole as
no
it's
offense
still
to
a,
natural births out there, but like there's, and it's funny because there's actually a fucking like, there's a 2 different forms of thinking there where there's like haters on C-sections and natural birth where they're like, oh, you're not really a mom. You didn't actually, push it out the regular way. It's like, well, she couldn't. She had an obstructed fucking like, birth canal.
We're myself and my sisters were all C-sections.
That's why you got a good head.
Isn't there something that's like different based on a natural birth versus a C-section? Like there's like something that happens. Is that what it is? What is that?
Yeah, it's like basically the endorphins or whatever, like the chemical that gets released as the baby comes out because your body's in shock. But you're also going through a massive trauma while getting a C-section. So I don't necessarily
They
think
kind of cross each other out.
Yeah, I do think it's kind of canceled out. And I also think it's like you carried that kid for 9 months. Like you're going to have just as strong of a connection and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really necessarily think it's like...
Very connected with my mother.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why we all moved, 3,000 miles away from that.
yeah.
So connected. I talk to her like at least twice a year, I'm fucking super cool. Her name's Janice, Jill, whatever the fuck it is.
I wasn't listening.
Mom. Let's call her mom.
Yeah.
Nah.
It's a good one to remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just fucking crazy. I don't see how.
Well,
people get
also,
past
but
that.
the thing is, man, like look at our history together. Like we went through a lot of things, the car accident leading up to the actual, C-section thing. Like everything, I think it's funny, man. Like you have all these things that kind of set you up for success or whatever the next chapter is. It's all Mr. Miyagi shit, right? Like I don't think I would do stand-up if I didn't get into a job in the service industry where I had to fucking bullshit with random strangers at tables. I wouldn't be so much out of my shell if I was still doing construction. I was a little more quiet, a little more, passive and just kind of a wallflower, if you will. But when I had to make a fake resume and start going up to tables and be like, hey, I heard you guys want food. Like the first table I ever greeted, I had zero script. I was like, hey, this is a menu. It's got a list of all the things we sell here at extra prices. Do you guys want to buy some stuff? Like, I feel like
what do we got to do to get you in a burrito today?
It wasn't like, hey, welcome to want some hot shooters, blah, blah, apps, none of that shit. I just was literally just trying to like fucking connect with people on a personal level and then let them know we're selling some shit and maybe I'll get a tip out of the situation. And it worked out pretty well. But again, I don't think if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be as prone to getting into stand-up and shit. Everything's like that, man.
Wait, so how did you tie that one in?
Yeah, I'm lost.
Oh, because you're saying just based on like the adventure on the way to that point.
So as like a guy that was in like the trades forever, you're working with 5 guys on a job site, same 5 guys. You're very comfortable. You very rarely come into strangers. Dating too. My game, if you will, when it comes to like talking to strangers and shit at a bar, it was way more easy because it's like I fucking talk to strangers all the time, dude. I wasn't as like I guess scared to talk to somebody at a bar because you would just be shooting a fish in a barrel at work, right? So after work and you just see some chick at a bar, I'm like, I fucking talk to her like a fucking table.
And that's what helps you get over the fact of seeing organs out on the fucking ground.
No.
The fact that you were
That's the tie. That's the tie. What I'm
about?
saying, okay, because
That's why.
all right.
Reel it in, baby. Listen, childbirth
What
is
I was
arguably
saying-
the most beautiful thing of life.
It is.
So that I think in that regard you would
that's a child being made when you actually they're conceived. Beautiful. When they're released into the world, the
Horrifying.
it's terrifying. You're like, oh my god, do we want to do this?
Here's an interesting point.
Real quick, because I had to fucking deal with Robin when she was broken up in that car accident. I had to go through all that grossness because we never farted in front of each other up until that point.
Oh,
You guys are not a fart or poop in front of each other
we're not.
couple.
We're classy.
I remember one guy we worked with. His name was Thomas. You know Thomas. Yeah. He was like, dude, you don't fart in front of your girlfriend or shit in front of her? And I was like, no, man. He's like, That's like the first thing you got to do, like second date, first date or something. I'm like, that's a little fast.
Yeah.
But you better be pretty confident in the relationship to do that.
Beat off right in front of her, third date.
And then, once I got past that and we're starting to do that, definitely opens up the relationship a lot more. Where you're like, it's just
you're not in as much pain all the time. You're like,
holding in farts for fucking hours and shit. That's like the weirdest thing too.
Yeah.
When you're like first dating somebody, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna fart or whatever.
Yeah.
It's really really awkward. But what do you think the correlation is between? They say most marriages are like 50% like don't work out. Do you think it's because those 50% saw their significant other giving birth to like a bloody monster, like nightmare murder nest thing?
Here's another
Murder myth.
fact.
Yeah.
Just this leech on society.
But there's did you know? So this kind of goes along with that. Heard this statistic the other day about arranged marriages. It was like 94, maybe 84. I don't know. You have to fact check me, but like percent worked.
Because you don't have an option.
You can't.
Right. I was gonna say this.
But those stay together.
Marriages that are forced by law typically work. Isn't that an amazing stat?
90% of people put in prison
When
for
you
life
put free will in
stay in prison for life. Like, okay.
90% of people that are in a wheelchair will never walk.
Yeah, that's a good. The analogy guy. I said Tony's got the best analogies.
But no, I think there's, just relationships, I don't know. There's so many factors that go into that for the reason why they don't.
Why do you think people still get married? That still blows my mind.
Well, especially when the divorce isn't set up
Love,
nicely.
I guess, It's
Right, but that's saying you can't love someone without being married, which is totally not
there's
true.
like I think it's because of looking at the roadmap and you're like, okay, I have these goals and objectives and I've had this great fucking teammate and partner and shit.
Right.
We've been together for this much of the journey and I feel like we're good enough to go the rest of it. And you have that kind of
and you
good
can't
foundation.
do that without getting the government involved?
No. But I think there's just like, I guess the paperwork, is like, the thing that's not necessarily, again, too, now when actually being single parents, there's more benefits from the government to be a single parent and not married, even if you're still living with your spouse. Because I have a friend that is currently doing that, and they get a whole bunch of assistance because it's a single mom, even though the dad / partner lives with them. There's just a lot more tax breaks and shit. But
Being a single parent?
yeah.
Well, then it's even more reason not
I
getting
get
married.
it, exactly, but there's just like it's kind of a it's a tradition thing, and also
Right.
too like I like the fact that Robin and I are literally rebranding the Kleins, right? Like we actually are two people that wanted to get married, wanted to have kids, wasn't like, hey, I don't like this guy and I'm in this uncomfortable situation. I'll just get married and I'm unhappy now, so I'm just gonna have kids, and like that's unfortunately how like my family came to be, right? So, but given a chance, and I love I wouldn't change the way I grew up at all. Because I wouldn't be who I was if it was that way.
Right.
However, if I was like, my mom's boss, I'm like, okay, we did a lot of things wrong here. Like, what the, like, it's, your job review, you probably get some C's across the board.
But again, though, like all of those things that you just mentioned, like you can do without having that party and without having that paperwork done. And you can live exactly the same life and still be monogamous with one person, still be, have a great family, change your family history, but do it without all of that, like the tradition, which is based in religion, which no one follows because nobody follows any religion. They just cherry pick what they want out of a religion.
You can say
so
it's
the
based on
main
religion,
part
though.
of that party though is religion, which no one follows. So it's a hugest like hypocritic, contradictory fucking thing.
Look at
everybody
like,
fucking does, and no one ever says anything.
In
about
like online gaming when they have like little tribes or whatever the hell it is, and they have the matching little fucking flags on their their character avatars and shit. It's like that. We're of the same not Lord of the Rings, what the fucking Game of Thrones. We have earned the same banner. We're the same team. We're all working towards that.
But that banner is like, it's not a good. It's like a banner of people that fell into like
I think it's because people don't
a lie tradition or like something that they really don't believe in. So it's like I'm Team Dragon, but I don't even really believe in dragons or Game of Thrones. I've never watched an episode of it, but I'm going to have a wedding devoted to that
mentality,
fucking genre.
Is the reason why a lot of marriages fail, because people, dude, you fucking see that kind of shit. Like we've had friends that like just randomly like Hail Mary, like this relationship's failing. Like, I'll just propose.
like,
It's like, why would you do that?
I was like, randomly.
Hand jobs again.
Randomly just jerking people off.
You get a
You know what I'm
Reiki
saying?
real quick. But, no, but I think because
Watch the second episode, people.
yeah, and the first.
Raking it every week, baby.
Also, Reikis are good though.
Reikis are
yeah,
good.
they're not bad. But I think there's of course the tradition. If people took marriage more seriously and said, "Hey, this is an end all be all," then you're forced to work things out. Then there's that. But I think I've been to a wedding and been like, man, I want to, and I don't know why the feeling was coming, seeing two people get married in front of other people and kind of saying like, hey, we're doing this. There's
I've
like
had
something
that
like
before
that.
too, where
But yeah, it's like that love bug or that
Yeah,
wedding bug.
yeah,
Remember
yeah,
we did
for
the rub
sure.
about that. But the last thing was, but one of my, so I could go either way. I do see myself getting married one day. I don't know if that's based on, it's like rooted in tradition or whatnot. But one of my favorite quotes from a mentor of mine, he said, he's like, you think marriage is love? Marriage isn't love. Marriage is marriage. Love is love.
Yeah.
And I was like, so if it doesn't necessarily, you're right. It could be both ways. It literally
Right.
is a case by case thing, but people they just don't take marriage as seriously maybe as they did years ago, where it's like, all right, we're doing this and we are staying together this long. And
You gotta
then,
fight for it. It's a relationship like any relationship, dude. Even friendships are a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? There's just
True.
like there's the
right, but you
union
and I
of
aren't gonna get
marriage.
married to like prove each other that we're best
I
friends and
understand
shit.
that.
Like,
but it's not the same thing though.
Are we?
You and I aren't gonna fucking go and try to bring another person into the world, and now we are both joined in this union of parenting this kid, right? There's like, and nothing against people that are like, single parents or anything like that, but like I've also in the 20 years I've lived out here, I've had a fair share of friends that have kids with people that they don't even want to be with, and I'm like, hey, you're fucking setting yourself up for failure. That's a lot of work. And,
well, right. I mean
and
that, but
coming
that all
from, like,
stems from just like being in a loving relationship that you're monogamous and you.
No, that's not. That's the opposite of that. Just seeing people like get someone knocked up and like, well, I guess we're having a kid now. I'm like, but should you though? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, right. But I'm saying like the marriage stuff. I feel too has such like a cloud over it of jealousy that most women I feel want to get married because someone else got married. Like no guy's like, oh, I'm so fucking jealous. Like my buddy got married. Like maybe there are a few, but I'd say the majority of guys like would never do it if a girl didn't want to do it. And then why do girls want to do it? Because most girls I feel see it's like a jealousy thing. Like, oh, it put a ring on it, or like there's fucking songs. If you like it, better put a ring on all that bullshit. It's like, but why? Why is that so important to you? Because it obviously isn't that important because 50%, if not more, of those don't work out, or they're there for the wrong reason, or they're there to get that ring or get that marriage party to be like posted and say, I'm married now. Look at me. I made it. I did something where there's no like depth to that. It's like as deep as a puddle. And it's unless you
completely what you're saying. In the current, landscape of the world,
I think it's always been like that.
No, it's no.
Always.
No.
There's
it's
always
way
been
more of a Cinderella type thing
exactly,
now.
Cinderella. Like
now, though.
It goes back to...
because everyone's trying to one up and keep up with the Joneses.
And because,
and all that
you can
fucking
see everything
Kardashians.
online
Yeah,
and
exactly.
stuff. You're
No,
right.
but it's always been like that. Even back in the day, like,
No.
Not as much.
They
I think
got
it's
married. Oh, them so I want to
wasn't
get
as
married. Oh,
flaunted
like
and
all
shit,
that
and then-
shit. It's just fucking like it's
Yeah.
just like
it's
trying
a tricky
to keep,
situation for
trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Dude, just because you have a void where your heart should be.
Icebox where my heart is.
We've learned that Eric's a fainter and he's got no heart.
Hates marriage.
If we were the Wizard of Oz, he's the one
fucking
that's got
Shriners
heart,
kids and marriage,
Yeah.
man. Ooh, get me
Get
going.
him, man.
And beards.
And don't marry
Shitty
don't
beards.
let Eric marry a Shriner's kid. No, dude, it's funny because the concept again too, like you were saying, as far as like most guys, I would never, and we've talked about this before because you and I had a pact, never get married, never having kids.
Yeah,
and
what
here I
happened
am.
there?
Here I am, fucking the
Fuck
pact
that up. You owe
right?
him $500
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll just pay you
Take the beard
$500.
money, give it right to Eric for ruining the
Fuck that
ruining
up.
our fucking hetero life mates. But
We did have a pact though.
Yeah.
If we ended up being like you end up getting married and I end up not getting married but still staying with the same girl for like forever, that we'd buy houses next to each other and then have a tunnel that meets in the middle. It's like a man cave kind of deal, like a hideout kind of a
Smart.
sanctuary.
How old were you guys? 4 when you guys decided this?
This was last year.
34,
This was
yeah.
last year.
We drew up the plans on a bar napkin.
Yeah, we can.
It's like one of those
Very
ideas.
way
Like,
over here.
Very
Pull the napkin.
detailed.
yeah, super drunk, and the next morning you're like, I don't know.
Watched
Look at this genius.
Ink Masters for like 4 seasons, and I got really good at the design. And
No, you know, I always find that kind of funny though, because like as far as again, it's not every guy's dream to get married and stuff, but it is interesting that every person that you see, every guy that's married, they at some point in time had to think of how they wanted to propose and what they're going to say for their vows. Doesn't matter how fucking macho a guy is. There's some soft part of them who's like, this is how I'm going to pop the question. And I always kind of thought that was funny after I went through that phase, because I was like, dude, I'm fucking happy I got out of that. I never have to propose again. I never have to do my vows again. You know?
I guess, yeah. I mean, if you're forced to do that, yeah, it's nice. You don't like.
I find
You
that
got to do it, man. Like, yeah, if you have to do something, like, if like the plane's gonna crash and you're like, I got to jump out of this plane with a parachute. I really don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, yeah, like, okay, I did it. I don't have to jump out of the plane.
I just think it's interesting that there's like that element of romance in everybody where it's just like, I'm gonna try to, you know, woo this chick, and again too, it might be for the right reasons, for the wrong reasons, but at some point in time, someone had the thought to think, hey, this is how I want to present marriage and a union with this woman.
And how you can like measure that. Like I think now as I'm getting older, I'm like, okay, there's different things that I value that I'm like, okay, this fits the criteria for somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with and start a family and raise a family. I think that would be the biggest thing. It's like, okay, raising a family, and then that would make most sense to keep the family together, same last name, all of that kind of stuff as well. It's kind of interesting, like even they get the man's last name. If the woman's having it and you're not married, then it would be kind of like, wait a second.
Here's something
it's like
funny.
a raw deal for the woman.
I would venture to say, I'll bet all of Eric's stocks on this, that 90% of the Jumbotron proposals don't work out. Because I've never met somebody in my life where it's like, hey, how'd your parents, you know, get engaged? Well, they're at a fucking hockey game, and then all of a sudden on the Jumbotron, you said, yeah. Will you? Yeah.
Babe, you want to marry me? yeah. Kiss cam.
All those fucking
kiss cam.
skywriters, like, she said yes. I fucking...
Here, hold my beer.
trying to go
I gotta
that
go on a knee.
Yeah.
Even thinking back now, like all the times that I thought I was in love, that was more of like a
Infatuation.
Yeah, something that was like, oh, like wow, this is it. But then you realize, wait, that's not it. That's something else. That's something cool. That's short lived. But now it's like, okay, like just the criteria is different. Like, okay, let's check off these boxes. And
Kids is another thing that's like super crazy to do.
Kids,
yeah, like that, like
Deal breaker.
yeah, like to have a kid, like that's still something that just like it's terrifying.
that's a long ass tattoo that's going to outlive you.
Well, it's the funny
That's
thing,
a
man.
living, walking tattoo. Jesus
can
Christ,
get-
Iron Man, put the fucking knife down, buddy. Fuck.
I want a grilled cheese.
Yeah, I want a grilled cheese. Not now, Iron Man.
I had a dream last night. I had two white males your age were chasing me inside of this house office, and then I finally found the door. I couldn't get away, and I finally opened the door, and it was a wall, and I was like, oh fuck, and I woke up. I was like, oh shit.
And here we are.
Yeah. I didn't realize until right
The
now.
other side of that
yeah.
wall.
Yeah.
That's man, that shit's fucking just crazy. I don't know. Like a dog. I think I'm just gonna be the dog person in my life. I wonder either.
That's a pretty big commit. You think that's the biggest
And
commitment
that's
you've
not
made?
even. And that's something.
You inherited
Yeah, you
that.
become a
I
better dog
inherited.
owner.
I like adopted a dog. So I
here's
never
the-
even.
here's
like,
the
did,
theory.
like, the whole.
So do you think you ever would have gotten a dog by yourself?
No.
So these things that you're afraid of, like marriage, like children, like tattoos.
Or some would call them responsibility.
Yeah. Those could actually be the greatest
Maturity,
gifts
yeah.
that if you inherited all of those.
No, I don't like those.
You saw where I was going there, though?
Yeah, I
Work
did.
versus reward. Yeah.
He's like, hey.
Very true, though. I
That
mean, I
makes
can see
sense.
I see the connections.
That makes sense, and I don't like it.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, but I still don't like it.
But it's funny though. You remember when Snickers first moved in the apartment? Like I always being a big dog fan, I would take him for walks and shit. And Eric would try to just take him on the patio to piss. You'd like just force him to try to piss on our patio. And I'm like, you got to take him out. And then you finally got into the fold and started doing that. I think when we got Ace, and there was like now 2 dogs. Now I had my own dog responsibility, and Eric had his dog responsibility. You came into being a better dog parent.
Yeah. Further reason why I shouldn't have a Iron Man.
Exactly.
And a better
Yeah, yeah.
friend.
Yeah. And a better friend. Be-do-do-do.
We can do some animations on here if you want. And just see it go.
The more you know.
You learned.
No, I think we just had a breakthrough.
Yeah.
He's gonna be sleeping tonight like.
Fuck, maybe I should have had a kid.
I'm gonna have fucking nightmares tonight. That's what I'm gonna have. Talking about fainting, blood, and fucking kids.
Dude, having a kid's the coolest fucking thing. When you,
I know,
whenever
because you tell me every fucking day. Like, dude,
it
it's
is
so fucking cool. I'm like,
it really is. It's like, yeah, like it's like
Tony is the best dad. Best dad out of any of the dads.
Don't get me emotional.
Drink some of that beer. Really is the best dad though. Out of any of my buddies that I know that have kids and stuff. He's just fucking all about his kid. And that's how he should be.
He feeds it.
Feed him.
You know.
Lets him out of his cage every hour. He's
Dude. Like his leash is like the longest one I can get.
It's the longest leash in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Leaves it in the car for a few hours at a time.
Don't
Bathe
even have,
them twice a week. You know, it's easy.
don't even have to turn on the electric fence anymore.
Gets that neck.
We're thinking about taking the shot collar off.
Yeah.
Dude, actually, it's funny. It's like when Snickers used to have a shot collar, like a bar collar and stuff. And Robin and I smoked weed one time, and I was just curious to see if it was like what you needed to do to make it shock. So I put it on my neck, and I was like, root, root, and I was doing all the bark noise and shit. And fucking Robin just looked at me like, "You are the dumbest motherfucker." And then I was like, "That's what I was expecting her to say." And she's like, I don't think you're barking right. And I was like, oh, that's
she's like,
yeah, that's why I loved her. Yeah.
She's all,
There's more going.
And now they have a baby.
Yeah. We played around with those too when I was like, 14, 15 when we got in high school.
Everyone moves at their own pace, Mark. You know what I mean? It's like it was kids, then bark collar for me.
Yeah, I think if you have like friends or people that aren't like as stoked about having a kid as like what Tony is, then they're probably not doing that killer of a job. Like, or could be doing better.
I agree. Man. I really.
Like, it's kind of like with anything that I'm like super into. I'm always fucking talking to my friends about it. Like, dude, stupid shit that doesn't matter. Like, oh, you gotta check out this YouTube, or like, oh, you ever hear about crypto, or like whatever else, dumb shit. And I'm passionate and really excited about it. And if you don't have that same kind of passion and excitement about a thing like a person you created, then maybe I don't know, it wasn't the right choice, or you need to do better, or something like that.
If it wasn't for the pandemic and actually having everything wiped off my fucking slate, right, where I'm like, I have nothing to do but just survive this fucking weird virus and raise a kid. It like before that, because we had 6 months of having Anthony before the world shut down, so I was trying to pepper him into a work schedule, a comedy fucking schedule, and all that shit. And it's just the slice of pie for him was just so small. Whereas when things opened up again, I'm like, you get the lion's share because I fucking brought you here and that's what you deserve. And I'll figure out how to fit everything else in there. But I don't think a lot of people have that good reset, right? Where it's just kind of like, you're already fucking trying to tread water and all of a sudden someone throws your baby, you're like, and now you're trying to fucking do all that shit and it just becomes kind of half-assed. But I think because of the situation, I was fortunate to be a better dad. And I don't think I would have been a bad dad. I just think I wouldn't have like prioritized as well. I might have. I think you would have.
You would have found a way, but
you're always like kind of like a leader. Like you have like you just are.
So are you saying like,
go on.
You're so great. You're such a leader. Great dad.
So still got good hair.
Great hair.
So you're saying like if you're gonna have a kid, wait till there's gonna be a pandemic, just so you can take a couple years off.
Monkeypox popping off. You guys get those babies incubating. You can't get an abortion anymore, so it's a perfect time.
You hear that, babe?
Yeah.
You getting hot and heavy?
Yeah.
He said it's time.
Do you think like were your parents like really always positive and always there? I was fortunate where my parents were really they were like a Tony. Like I was fortunate where I had really supportive parents, no matter how well I did or fucked anything up. They were always like, they were hard on me, but at the same time, we're supportive of like, try that out, and
my parents, they were super supportive of everything. And when I decided not to go to college and move to LA, and they're like, yeah, cool. And then even showed them some of the stupid shit that I was editing that I thought was great. That was garbage. They're like, fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I really lucked out with
me
that
for years.
Yeah,
still are. Great job. Yeah, you definitely did good.
I really lucked out. Definitely lucked out with
that. Macaroni necklaces and shit.
But yeah, that's where I feel so fortunate, and that's where like the marriage thing, or even a joint family, keeping and my mother's very outspoken about that too, of like having children, but like keeping them in the same place and the same school so they can make friends and all this stuff.
Dude, I completely agree with that.
Yeah,
But then which I always think is a great idea too. I think I totally see that. But then I also, when I hear from my friends or other stories about other kids that are moving around a lot, I'm like, well, there's also the advantages of being able to be versatile and be able to do that stuff too. But not that, I mean, I only know one way. It would have to,
It's interesting because like we moved like in 4th grade. I moved to another city. So I spent 5th and 6th grade at a new school, and then I met like a lot of my core group of friends that I still have to this day. And then we are in Wisconsin. We have 7th and 8th grades, a separate middle school. So it was like basically I moved to a new city, 2 years there, then 2 years at a middle school, and then we went to a high school. So it was like new every 2 years. I'm switching pools of people and stuff. So it was stimuli, meeting new people. I'm like, I'm a social butterfly, baby. Mm-hmm. I'm out there. But that was like fine.
Chatty Cathy people.
But when my mom got remarried in 6th grade, we moved out of the district for where all my friends went to middle school, and I just made these friends. I'm like, I'm not fucking losing these friends, and we'll catch up in high school. Now we have this 2-year delay and shit. So I actually rode my bike to my buddy John's house and then carpooled them to middle school. So if I actually would have stayed in the local middle school, I would have been to school with Eric in middle school as well. But we caught up in high school. First laid eyes on each other. Earth science class.
Wait, how weird is that to know each other for that long and still be like, I mean, because obviously I have so many friends that are all solid group of friends that are all still in Michigan.
Obviously you have a lot of friends marked out. No,
but all my group of friends are like, I have several different groups of friends, and that some of them crossed over but there is like that solid group that they do everything together. So you guys moving out here and being from the same place, is there like, what do you think the advantages are?
I think the
of
friends
that?
we hung out with and like our bigger friend group in high school, they all kind of did but they were all more sports guys. Like I was on the cusp. Eric was like in sports, but like he was closer to the fringe where I was like a skateboarder kid that hung out with dudes that played, football and shit. And it was just,
I was like into art and like singing.
You were playing coffee shops and shit, right?
Art and
candy. It's like
point.
in my like last year of high school, I was doing that kind of stuff, but like more, I guess, of a diverse group of people, I guess, but always kind of like gravitated towards hanging out with Tony. Like we all, even though we all had like, we both had like a bunch of different groups of friends, we always be like, hey man, what's up? Like, would you want kick it? And we just, I don't know, always just ended up always kicking it with he and I together, and then plus like insert like 5 or 6 different like groups of people, or like a couple people from those groups, and then kind of made our own.
My buddies that were in like my auto classes and shit, my tech ed classes, were also football players. So they would bring me to these football parties, and I didn't really fucking click in the beer pong and shit like that. So I would see Eric, I'm like, hey, you're another fucking lost duck here. Let's just fucking, we'd kind of click up. So we did that for spring break. In the Lord's year of 2001, we went down to Daytona Beach. We took a fucking Greyhound bus down there because it was too expensive to fly. This is pre 9/11, so fucking like, and a high school budget, it was like $500 or $600 to fly there for spring break. I'm like, no, but it was $99 for a round trip ticket to Daytona and back. It just took 40 hours to get there and 48 hours to get back.
Like you go to sleep, you wake up, you're on a bus.
You have a whole nother day going to sleep, way back up, yeah.
And like most Greyhound bus stops, if you don't know this, they're like near prisons. Like there's stops that are next to prisons so
easy
people,
transport.
people in prison don't have cars and shit. So like we'd get people that would come on and they have like their white sack of their clothes, or they're in like their prison gear, like still. Like
or whatever they went to jail in.
Yeah, and like you're
put in a filing box for years.
Yeah, and we're like,
so you guys just started wearing orange to blend in.
It's like Ocean's
we saved
11
like
when
$20 or some
back,
bullshit like to do that. It was like, why do we do that? Like that was the fucking dumbest, longest thing. But it was. I mean, bunch of kids basically.
There was like 12 of us kids that did that. So everyone's like, you guys a soccer team or something? We're just like, yeah say whatever, like this.
Yeah. Well, I never got to go on spring break because I played baseball and we always had like 8 games in 7 days during that time. So that was always the thing. That if you played baseball, you can't go on spring break. And that's why it was so interesting when I crossed over to the arts. I played sports my whole life, and then I was like, I'm going to go. I accidentally took drama, not accidentally, but I took it because you could just chill on a couch and not do much. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I got in there and I was like, wait, I started choreographing shit and started like being the mastermind behind things and like let's shoot this, and all the drama kids are like, what the fuck? Why is this sports guy coming in here taking our shit? And then I decided to do my first play and musical, which I wasn't really into theater anyways, but I was like, well, if this is what I'm gonna do, I need to like test the waters. So I convinced my friend to come. I'm like, dude, there's like a bunch of girls and stuff. He's like, all right, cool. And then but I was like, how are they gonna like all my sports friends, how are they gonna take this that I'm now doing a play? But then it was amazing. It was like, you know, got the crowd out there and stuff. So I was like, it was like a weird like change in my life.
Yeah, it's weird.
Your fucking auditorium story when you sang at the fucking
show.
Eric is like again very modest. Well, you know him from playing out and stuff like that. But like when people knew Eric sang, and then when he sang at the talent show, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Eric's got such an angelic voice. He has all these talents, and he's a strong football player."
They were saying that, or you were saying that?
I was saying it. I was telling the girls, I'm like, I told you could sing. I told you. That's my boy up there.
Somebody throw men's underwear on the stage? Whose is this? This is a Hanes. Hanes for men?
Calvin Klein, Eric. I only wear my last name.
Yeah, like playing like various sports and stuff like that, I always was good enough to always like start and be, you know, like play, but I never liked the sports, any of them, like wrestling, football, baseball, any of that shit. I just did it because I had people that I could hang out with and shoot, like basically just do this with. And when you're not playing, you're standing on the sideline. You know, if you're on offense and it's defense time, you're hanging on the sideline. Or any sport, you're out, there's a period where you're not doing anything. And the most fun is just shooting the shit with your buddies, hanging out and talking on the sidelines, you know? And so that's what kind of got me in all the
marriage
sport.
is all about.
Just talking on the sidelines.
Yeah.
You played sports to talk on in between
like
playing
just
sports.
hanging out with and just making
awesome.
trying to make my friends laugh and stuff. And like that was like the fun part to me. And then like, all right, get in there. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta go play or do
Hold
whatever.
on a second. Hold that thought.
Yeah, for real. Like,
wow.
And I remember this one time, like a buddy, like a couple of us had gotten called up, like I think it was like our freshman year or sophomore year, to play like as like third string, like for the backup for like the first string guys or something like that. And everyone else was like, yeah, we get to go. Like, we get like, you get lettered or something. I think if you play on varsity so many games when you're a certain age or some shit. And I was so fucking bummed out. I was like, oh, God damn, really? I have to fucking practice more now because the season goes longer if like you're on a good team and all that stuff. And I'm like, fuck. And then one of the like senior guys heard me and he's like, you should be honored that you're getting called up. I'm like, I could give a fucking shit about this.
Everybody else is like,
care.
Please call me up. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, like I had to go to work.
Literally, that's the story of your life, I think.
I was like, son of a bitch.
You're like
I gotta fucking do this more. I'm like, man, I just want to hang out with my friends. So I'm like, fortunately, there's like a few of us that we just all talk shit. And like every time that we would like lose or like, you know, get something bad would happen for our team, like me and my buddies would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, like be all high-fiving and shit, because then that means our season was that much closer to ending. And like, finally, we can get done with this bullshit. Like,
also, we had like a fucking losing season, like your varsity years.
My year, but that year was like they almost like won the whole state or whatever. So it was like everyone was like gung ho and like, yeah, we're gonna win the whole thing. And my brother, who was 2 years older than me, he was like the captain of the football team. He was like the prom king guy. So he
Your brother
like,
was?
He was, yeah. So he was kind of like the guy.
Disappointment over here. That's Eric's nickname in the household.
My family is like
Ryan, come to dinner. Disappointment, come to dinner. Yeah. Jacob, come to dinner.
It's like Multiplicity. Have you ever seen that movie with Michael Keaton?
You were
he's
stuffing
the original Michael Keaton.
You were stuffing pizza into your wallet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah. Like that's pretty much sums it up. Like I was just like I was a disappointment to so many people that thought I was going to be like my brother.
Because that's you like.
We look similar, and we're about
sleep
to
and breathe sports
that's
out
not a
there
bad
too.
Fucking like, I mean, but being pigeonholed.
It is until the first test or the first fucking like, you know, thing like, hey, you can, you know, take a test and shit. And they're like, hey, so you're going to ace this. Like they give me the test, you know, and they're like, yeah, don't even worry about it. You probably,
kind of
don't worry. Just
positive.
This test will take you 5 minutes, you know, whatever.
That's a positive
you say that though, but it's
dude,
it's
I had
almost
the opposite. I had Tina and Donnie going before me, and they're like,
yeah, but you're a
fuck,
smart
we got
guy, so
another climb.
you kind of that's the best. You're like the underdog, so you'd be like,
I was
oh, and they're
mad,
like,
though,
oh yeah,
because immediately like,
you need help reading this stupid,
idiot.
and
Yeah.
you're like, and you're fucking like acing it and shit.
It wasn't
like,
even how dumb I was, just because that my
I'm not saying you were dumb. I'm saying that you were really smart, but they assumed you were dumb,
or
which
how
is the
dumb
best
they were.
thing.
They weren't. They were just.
It is.
Eric, take the test. They're like, I am. Like, you have to turn the paper over. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
I'm like,
But where do I take this test? Like,
yeah.
Where do I take it home?
Where do I take it now? All right, I got it. Where do I take it? Yeah. Like it's way better being underestimated than overestimated. Like being like, oh yeah, you're gonna ace it.
but
Like, hey,
it
what
breaks it
happened?
down, 'cause it's
You-
always like,
something happened.
Under promise, over perform.
Yeah,
you know, it's life.
like man. It's that was like
So you over promised.
they over. Yeah, they.
his brother's fucking track record over.
Yeah, I'm like.
That's so interesting that you played sports to like in between the actual playing of sports. It's like almost like, all right, let's do the talent show. You're like, all right, you're chopping up with the kids in the back. You're like, oh shit, hold on a second, I'll go fucking sing real quick. And then you go.
Well, that was probably the only thing that I was actually really something that I cared about, because I sang like maybe 2 songs or something for this talent show that I promised myself I would, like when I was a freshman. I thought it was so cool to see people that we went to school with play an instrument or sing, and I was like infatuated by it. I was like, that is so fucking
That's
cool.
a great indicator for you for life, even at that point too.
Yeah, and not even really knowing, but I was like, man, all right, I gotta fucking like make a promise to myself that my last year of school, I'm gonna do this fucking talent show.
It's funny you had that kind of foresight back then, because I was just like, all right, man, just gotta get through 8th hour, then I'm fucking off to work. And I didn't have that kind of like.
I was like, where's the party at this weekend?
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
me
I
a
didn't
40
have
for the
that.
whole weekend. I'll be drunk the whole time.
Give me that Mickey's, bro.
Once I had that like in my head that I had to do it and that I couldn't back out of it, like I had probably practiced those same 3 songs like hundreds of times, like every day after school.
What songs were they?
It was More Than Words from Extreme.
More than words.
That was the, I think
With
that was
Arms
the,
Wide Open
I think that was the
and
only,
With Arms Wide
we
Open.
only were allowed to do one song, I think, for the
okay.
talent show. So that was the one. And then ended up doing like another like concert thing, like after hours at the same
Rizzo's, baby.
auditorium.
Oh.
It's actually the same high school that, was it his name Frank Caliendo?
Oh, really?
The guy that does the
That person-
Madden voice? He
Yeah.
went to our high school.
He does all the impressions. He's fucking brilliant.
Yeah. So he was like, they had pictures of him and shit and stuff.
I think
or
I
whatever.
did know that.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird thing.
My Aunt Karen also went there, so no big
Yeah.
deal.
Did you ever hook up with Frank Caliendo?
She does a hell of a Madden impersonation.
My favorite version. I'll probably butcher the Madden voice, but he's like, "You need to see. If you can't see, you don't know what you're looking at."
That's perfect though. It's like has those like goofy fucking like.
Yeah, he was so.
what
I used to love it. I would practice John Madden and all the other. I would literally see how he would do the impression, and then I would do it. I would do the same.
He was
thing.
like the Donald Trump of like sports and like commentators, like just fucking saying the.
He would.
dumbest
He would
shit.
love for you to say it.
Yeah.
that
It was
he-
the greatest offensive play of greatness you'll ever see.
Yeah, so having like just making that promise to myself, and practicing a bunch and doing that. That was like one of the only things I was like, oh wow, like okay, I'm like really focused on it. I enjoy it, and
and then it went well.
yeah, it went well. But that was like I think where that practice that I done with sports and stuff kind of like was
Yeah.
ingrained in my brain. Like all right, like you have to just practice shit if you want to get good at it. And then doing that over and over and over so many times is kind of like one of the only benefits from being in sports.
But
And
even,
it was
I mean,
just
I think sports is and my dad said this. He was like, at one point, he was my coach for a lot of different sports, but at one volleyball for my sister's volleyball banquet, he said something like about how sports can teach you to lose and all these things. And I was listening. I'm like, oh shit, that's fucking actually really smart. I'm like, I never thought about it like that because I was still in sports and figuring it out. And now in hindsight, I'm looking back like, oh my God, there's so many things of losing and overcoming it and then learning how to win and how to
I
work
didn't
really
know
hard to
that.
get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. No.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean overcoming losses? I thought that was the end.
So when you're on a team, you're all working together for a joint goal. Is that how this works? Am I picking up? Am I bagging what we're raking here?
I think the social aspect of sports is even more important because it teaches you how to just
Camaraderie and
yeah,
stuff and
work
like-
with other people because you have so many different personalities. The people like on the team that are like live and die by the sport. Blah, blah,
I'm
blah.
the star. You guys all
yeah, and
falling
like
in
there's
the
like
backseat.
all these like pecking orders of like all that stuff and learning how to like deal with people's different personalities and such.
You guys don't like sports per se. Do you guys like sports movies at all?
Yeah, I love
Really?
sports movies. Yeah,
Like what? Like which ones?
Like the Field of Dreams.
Ooh, yeah.
I actually went there.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
my
a-
dad's a
it's a-
huge baseball
That's
guy.
a Midwest.
You know, it
rite of
actually doesn't
passage.
exist, right?
Oh, it does, buddy.
It does, man.
We saw the ghosts. Yeah,
I have Field of Dream dirt. So we went to Field of Dreams, and I actually got to play a game of baseball on the Field of Dreams.
Really?
Yeah, went there. They have like it's a.
He shows
I
us
didn't get
pictures.
that.
It's not. It's like a parking lot. Like Eric, I think
They told me it was the Field of Dreams.
So it says
Field of my dreams.
Spelled wrong. Filed of dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
It's in Iowa, and it's like exactly like in the movie. Like I think it's still there today, and they had like a bulletin board of like Kevin Costner and all the stars and stuff that are in
That
the
movie still gets me choked.
I
up.
watched it.
yeah.
I watched it in the last year.
Yeah,
it's so
it's
good.
It was
fucking
at
really
work, and
good.
it got to the point where his dad comes out. That's the last time they meet each other, and I was like, I happened to grab some lunch. I'm like, gotta get out of here.
Yeah, like, dude, me too. I think I'd watched it like the same week that you did. I was telling you, like, dude, watch Field of Dreams because he had a kid, recently. So I was like, dude, I started choking up at the end of it, and just I have a great relationship with my
Choking up right now?
My dad. I love my dad, and like
Shout out to Bernie.
the end of that, Nardo, and like. It embodies that whole movie embodies that. It's just like a father-son relationship kind of thing, and like being there for you and playing catch and all that shit. It's like really fucking cool. But like hate sports, but love fucking sport movies.
Interesting.
Rudy, all that shit. It's just like like all that stuff. It's so
I don't know
cool.
what my favorite sports movie is.
I went back and watched. I went back and watched a bunch because I recently wrote the Rudolph, the full feature of the concept trailer I did.
Yeah.
Which is a basketball movie. I went back and watched Coach Carter. I watched Remember the Titans and a bunch. And what I realized, I was like, oh fuck, all these movies are super long. Like there's so much you have to like, so many games you have to put in to like show the arc or like growth within the season and overcome stuff. I'm like, this is getting kind of long, guys. But I'm like, all of the sports movies are long. I mean, Sandlot is like
Sandlot.
Yeah.
That's like a total classic. That's what my dad always said. He's like, I was like a Sandlot kid. He fucking loved that movie when it came
really?
out. He's like, yeah, because his parents were immigrants and they didn't want to like pay the money to, sports cost money. You had to buy the cleats and all this shit. And so he was like, yeah, I was like a Sandlot kid. I would just go with my neighborhood kids and we go in the back. And
long ass bill and shit on his hat. It's like, come on, Small.
he was more like the catcher. He's like that guy. But he was, he's like, did all that kind of stuff, but always played like backyard sports. He never really played sports, but he was like always at any wrestling match, football match, baseball game, anything like that. Is it a football match? Football game?
Yeah.
He played this football game match.
There's a match between two football teams.
But he was like always there for all that stuff. And so like I think he like kind of lived vicariously through us being in sports, and more so my brother because he was good at all the sports. But like
He wasn't a quitter like you.
yeah, he played with his heart too, and he was athletically, I had the same ability, but I could give a shit about it. I was just like, oh, whatever. And, but I think having that, like he kind of got to like live that through us. Yeah. And, but yeah, like all the sports, he was always there. Like, God, there's like fucking, I don't know how many thousands of hours, even to my brother's 3 kids. He has 3 boys. He goes to every game, films everything. Like he's there.
That's super fun
with
for
my
him,
mom
yeah.
too. My mom has always been like at the games. Like they're those type of parents. They're rooting.
Field of Dreams is my favorite movie as well, or League of Their Own. just to be
League of Their Own. That was filmed in Milwaukee.
Really?
Or
Major League.
Major League. I'm sorry.
Great
League of Their
baseball
Own. True fact. My neighbor, growing up in Milwaukee, she was on the
Scene Bells.
the Rockford Peaches.
Oh, shit.
Her name is Mrs. Baumgartner, and she was in the movie actually.
Oh shit.
At the end of the movie, where they all like the original players come in, and they're like in a museum and shit. Like she's in the movie. I remember like when
That's
it came out, I was like,
cool.
"Mrs. Baumgartner, you're in the fucking movie." Oh, I didn't say that. Maybe I did back then. Little cursey Eric.
Shut up, Mom.
It's fucking crazy.
Watch
Mrs.
episode
Baumgartner.
number 2 and
Another crazy thing about that lady is that so her kids were into drag racing, like those drag cars with the big. I think they're called like silly cars or crazy cars or
funny
something like
cars.
that. Funny cars, yeah.
like clown cars. I don't know.
So close.
Hilarious cars.
Silly cars, fucking crazy cars. Yeah, they were into that. So they had one of those, and every like week they would like turn it on, and like the whole neighborhood, like crazy loud. And then they bring it out into the street, to like put it on their trailer and stuff. But that was like her house. It was like a known house in the neighborhood it was it was very.
That's cool that she played for the fucking.
Yeah, she was like, had the
league.
fucking all the shit still, and had she showed us her glove that she had, like all fucking old looking.
Just like her, leathered and weathered.
I can't tell where you start and
She's
where the
got-
glove
I don't
is.
think she's allowed
the
to.
glove stop.
Oh, that's the glove. Okay, it is on your hand. Interesting.
No wonder you're a
my
good catcher.
other
Look how big your
hand.
hand is. That's the glove? Okay. Why does your hand say Rawlings?
Yeah. Rawlings tattoo. Interesting.
Nice
Yeah,
choice,
that's-
Baumgartner.
Yeah,
That's
it's
your last name
fucking-
is Baumgartner, not Rawlings.
Not to mention Rowan Gardner, rookie of the year we talked about last week.
Yeah, bro.
Rowan Gardner, you're in.
You're in.
Garden hoser.
Get in here. Hot ice.
Yeah.
I need hot ice. Yeah, that was a throwback. You see that last week.
Yeah, rookie of the year. This is a good one.
Yeah, there's so
Yeah.
many great sport movies that just I don't know. Well, everybody loves that. Like
I think Major League is is my top echelon one though, because shot in Milwaukee at what I think was our better stadium, County Stadium instead of Miller Park, and Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker is the best fucking
he's the shit.
sportscaster ever.
He's funny as fuck too. Like if you go on like YouTube, you can look up Bob Uecker like on what is it? What was the talk show? He had a really good relationship with Johnny Carson, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's
His-
a lot of
his,
really he's fucking funny. He's a funny guy, and he's known for being one of the worst fucking professional baseball players
But
ever.
he dubbed himself Mr. Baseball. So
Yeah.
like his whole
Yeah.
shtick
Like,
is
he's
just like talking to
self-deprecating,
stats.
like,
you know,
just-
John,
yeah.
they cut me from the team, and I didn't even know I was cut from the team. I went back to the locker and it was empty, and the bus drove off without me, and that's why I knew I wasn't with the Brewers anymore. Stupid shit.
Yeah. But he is like the pinnacle of like growing up, like hearing his voice. Like my dad would always have like the AM radio on with his voice going, and just
Yeah, that was us in Detroit with Ernie Harwell.
yeah.
For
We never
baseball.
heard of him because he's not as funny.
Yeah, he's not Mr. Baseball guy.
He's not as good. Yeah. He also did all the Miller Lite. Like it's funny. Like I don't know if it's just local propaganda, but like we're drinking Dos Equis here. But usually I'm a Miller Lite guy, and I like the Brewers. I like that whole. I really like the state that we're from. I don't like to live there because I'm a fucking cold dude, and it's just the weather. But really, growing up there is a great fucking place to raise a family. 'Cause you just get like a good cross. Well, Detroit's the same fucking thing,
Yeah,
or the suburbs that you're from.
yeah.
You're not Detroit.
Man, all that started from beards.
I guess that's the show. Yeah, because we have a little bit of battery life left on this one. As we're wrapping.
We got a quick note. Anyone? I don't want to get into chiropractor.
Let me check that. Let me check these real quick just to see
what we
actually have.
Have you been to a chiropractor?
No.
Yeah, I think it's a fucking racket. I gotta go to a
That's what I was
chiropractor
gonna say. I've heard.
I have a great
I
chiropractor.
feel like that I'm in worse. Well, okay, let me ask you a question. When you go to your chiropractor appointments, how long are you there for?
Here's the thing.
In the actual session with them?
45 minutes to an hour. I had a life-changing one.
I saw you got that thing where they put it on your
the
neck and
the
they
Y
do-
strap.
and they do the
yeah,
they
that was
strap
fucking
in that.
game changing. So Dr. Tyler, my friend Tyler, he's fucking huge
Now he's your friend. Okay.
Well, no, so many Y straps you into fucking. You're like, holy, thanks,
He does
man.
Reiki too.
Yeah, but no, he started because he was when I met him, he was just starting to on using the different social platforms, and people were starting to know who he was. And my friend Freddie was like, "Yo, you got to go to this guy. He's game changer. The Y strap, all this stuff."
Up.
Yeah, but he's in
the Y
Newport
strap
Beach
up.
or Manhattan Beach or something. And I'm like, he's like, next time I go, we'll go together. I'm like, all right, cool. So I went there, and I've gone to him twice, but now people travel from all over the world to come see him. And he does a bunch of he'll travel around and go do stuff for free, and he's all about doing things properly and like telling you like people that are because chiropractors get a bad rap because a lot of them maybe don't do the job properly. As it sounds
my
like
guy. It's
you've
my
been-
guy.
Yeah, that's him. So he always whether it's like how to actually put your hands on a woman to like not be
Defensively? You teach her a lesson?
or how not to how to like be respectful because like if like how you have to get in there and put your arm around all that stuff. So he's always like, this is what I do, or like to teach other people and stuff. And now he's he's amassed like millions of followers and stuff like that, and now he's able to make an even bigger impact based on his videos that are like funny but also cool. And then the thing when I went to him, I've always had like some issues and stuff that I've been figuring out. But the main thing was the Y strap. When he did that,
That's called the Y strap.
the Y strap, yeah, and basically your whole spine
Vertebrae.
just fucking and I could feel almost all the way down. And my posture for the next like 6 months, I was like so much better.
Really?
It like even hurt to like go down.
Yeah, see, yeah,
like
I'm in the
it was
wrong place.
literally like it was life changing. Yeah.
Yeah. When I saw
my guy, I'm in and out of there in 5 minutes, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's just a fucking scam because I'm going there for a car accident. So
just
they're
does some
trying
like
to bump
kung
it.
fu stuff on you, kind of
Yeah.
slap like that fake. You ever see those fake
And-
kung fu videos? Like somebody's teaching how to do it.
No, you just basically like I get a little bit like some electrolysis thing into my lower back, and then it'll fucking crack my back and my neck, and then I'm literally out of there in like 7 minutes. I'm like, how is this even?
Yeah. Like, and they just check it off like, oh, your insurance said.
Exactly. And then I'm like, and I feel like that's kind of the majority of them. So again, they do fall in that kind of realm where there's
Physical
a lot of
therapist, same thing.
Exactly. A lot of like shitty ones fucking up the name for the
And
good
that's why
ones.
you have to find. So you have to do your research or like ask people or just go further on the internet. I had the same thing with. I had a what is it called? Basically, my shoulder blade on my right side. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was after we were working together initially, but I had what is it called? Basically, like one of the muscles in my back wasn't working, so I had a winged scapula. So my shoulder blade on the right side was off, and I couldn't even do a push up. And I went in. I'm like, hey, listen, this is what's going on. Went to the doctor. Like, oh, it's physical therapist. And they went there. They're like, yeah, sometimes it heals, sometimes it doesn't. I'm like, okay. They're like, they try all these things. They put like the electronic thing that's like moving things around, not doing anything. And I was there. I went there for like months. And I went back to Michigan. My sister's like, oh, you got to go to my guy Bob. I'm like, okay. I went to Bob, and he's like checking it out or whatever. He goes, lie down. And then he puts his thumb through like my armpit and goes,
No
and there was a rib out of place.
No way.
And what I had for like 2 years of maybe think I was never gonna be able to do a push up, couldn't work out or anything. And the next
rib
day,
out of place? Damn, how much did that hurt? How long
not
were
at
you-
all.
No, I'm saying
No,
like before, like how.
It didn't. The rib didn't. It didn't hurt necessarily. It's just like if I was trying to do a bench press or like
just
push
feel
up
like your rib,
and
like-
and I can show you
How do
pictures.
you have a rib out of place? Because
It's like it was under here. I don't know exactly what it is or how it was, but he's like, there's a specific thing that was out of place that when you push it back in, the next day I was 95% healed.
Wow.
And then it gets better. There's different workouts you can do for your wing scapula, but I just thought like, oh well, fuck it. I mean, these
Is that like
doctors.
your
That's
last?
just how I am now.
I'm not sure where it was. He had to get all the way in there and just like, and I didn't necessarily feel it, but he could feel it, what he was doing.
Right.
And like, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, I'll see how that works. The next day I was like, I wasn't even able to put my arm all the way up for like 2 years. And I was like, well, I guess this is just what life is from now on. But luckily but then that's the same thing about Dr. Tyler. It's Tyler Begenho, I think it is. And then this guy, Bob, this physical therapist, there's like a group of them that do this better version of physical therapy or chiropractic.
Chiropractic.
Chiropractics.
Chiropractics, yeah. That actually do like go above and beyond, not what it's like. All right, here's like the basics, maybe
And
or whatever.
you're healed. Get out of here.
Yeah, because I went through that. Every time I would just get so upset. It's like, why the fuck am I even going here, spending time? Like my insurance covered it, but it was like, all right, it's not doing anything.
Dude, I feel like sometimes shit'll just pop and my neck will just like I was doing something the other day. Where I got cracked here, it shifted and I'm like, and I had like that stiff neck feeling. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got a big ass head though.
I do have a giant head. Yeah,
Your neck's over. You're
these
getting
little
overworked,
narrow
buddy.
shoulders.
You ever
stuff.
think about like deflating that a little bit?
Trying, man, trying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think all that stuff is.
When you find the right one, that's why so many people tell the world about these guys, because once somebody does something like that to you, that you feel like your whole life is never going to be the same,
Well.
and then they do that, and you're fixed. You're like, everyone go there.
Yeah,
So,
you
like,
definitely
that's how I
have to
felt.
do your research with doctors and shit. Because I think a lot of people they're like,
I like
because
the
they have a
I like the
doctor
rolling the dice.
in front of their name, they're like, oh, he's a doctor. They're smart. They know what they're doing. Like, no, it's just like anything else, like a mechanic or fucking anything else in life. There's a fucking bunch of shitty ones out there.
I find
like,
all
there's
those
a bunch
shitty
of
ones,
real
mechanic-wise.
shitty ones.
Back to the Reiki though. So I had somebody that
Back to the Reiki for
I
3
mean,
episodes ago.
well, because on a
call it the
random
Reiki
referral,
podcast.
on a random referral, fucking what's her face? Who was the chick that was in your writing group? Esther. She
Oh,
sent
yeah.
me to a Hasidic Jewish Reiki healer. And that I had a fucked up knee. It was twitching. My knee was like it would spasm, and it felt like, you know, you see in like New York, like a power cable just bouncing off the fucking brick wall. That's how my knee felt, just like twitching and shit on its own. I'm like, well, that's not good.
That was after you saw him?
Before I saw him. And then I went to his house in like the little like Jewish district down like, you know, Fairfax and shit. I'm laying on his dinner table, which I thought, I'm like, this is like, just like, all right,
Don't
I'm here,
film this.
75 bucks. I'm looking up at the ceiling. You can see.
I remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cut my wife open.
Turn your camera off. Only pictures.
You guys aren't hungry.
It's
are
like
you?
just like the burn marks from the menorah on the ceiling. I'm like, this is just taking in the moment. I'm like, all right, I'm fucking here. I'm already paid for this shit. Let's just hope this guy
How
does
much
it.
was it?
75 bucks.
Oh,
and he
steal.
takes out some magnets, starts going over. He knew. I didn't even tell him what I was there for. I just went up there and I was like, all right, you got some trouble, some trauma in your knee. And he starts going over it. And this is actually, I blew my
But
knee out.
Esther was the connection.
She's the one that put me
She
in
didn't
contact.
say, hey, he's got a
I don't know
problem.
what you said to him. But it's funny
like a
because
psychic
he
of
actually was
chiropractors.
like, no, but he was very, yeah, man. I think there is some like, spiritual element to shit where people can kind of be in tune to stuff that's going on with you. Because then he was like, he's doing this magnet thing over my knee. And then he's like, you did a lot of like, pressure, a lot of like, anxiety in your chest and somebody with the kids. And it was like, well, at that point in time, Rob and I were like together for a while. We're talking about dogs or kids and shit. And he picked up on that and fixed my knee. And I haven't had a fucking problem with my knee since then. It was the most bizarre thing.
Been 3 days.
7 years, Mark.
No, but I did muscle testing once. And I was like, oh, this is some bullshit. And muscle testing, basically they take like a vial and to show you that it works, they basically be like, okay, hold this empty
Look at this
vial.
work.
Empty vial, and they try to like push you over or like they like see how strong you
like,
are.
yeah, like-
And then they put like a cigarette in a vial, and then it's like, and how much more they can do it.
Like
So
like
it's
a mental
It's
thing?
not mental. It's muscle testing. So basically, how your body reacts to something negative for it. So a cigarette is not great for you.
Interesting.
So by doing that, you're able to you're not as strong. They take that out of your hand, and then you're able to do it. It's fucking crazy.
Some fentanyl in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they did like wheat or like different things. They would try different things, and they test your muscles to see what
A little
you
whey
react
protein
better
in there.
to.
It's just
yeah.
fucking.
It seems like one of those things like you ever see they have like those tests that they'll take like a person and they'll have them lay their hands on a table and then like there'll be like a board like blocks like their vision for their other hand and then they'll
Like a magic show?
and then it'll put
And then
Magic
the guy
Castle?
comes up
Yeah,
with karate.
yeah. Then a rabbit comes out and no like
You see those guys?
Oh,
they
you
have
can't
3
see
cars
it.
and
And
they
they
start doing
hit your
this.
hand.
yeah and they hit your hand and they're like oh
That's more of a mind trick, I think. Yeah.
But I wonder if that falls in like that same kind of thing where it's like because do you know what it's in your hand or they don't tell you?
No, they do it. They do, and after like the first one, just to show you that it works. Basically, I think is why they did this specific natural doctor did it that way. But eventually, they did a bunch of different things to see, and then based on that, they like would prescribe different supplements that would then help you balance out or whatever. So it was very fascinating. At the time, I just took it for what it was, like whatever, this is whatever, and I didn't take all the supplements. But now, as like is like you talk about things like gluten and stuff like that like people think are fads. You guys know? Have you guys heard about like why gluten is so bad or what gluten is doing?
Because it's popular now.
No, so that's what a lot of people think. So at least this is what I heard from, I forget who initially I saw some interview. So right before a harvest, it would rain sometimes and then the crops would mold so that they wouldn't be able to use them. They'd lose all this money. So they're like, haha, let's do this instead. Let's spray Roundup on everything and it absorbs the moisture and now we can fucking still make all the money.
And that's what gluten-free bread is?
No, in 2005, in 2005, he said you could draw, I forget who it was exactly, but you could draw a red line across 2005. My psoriasis started in 2006. And so basically people started thinking like, oh, gluten, it's a fucking Hollywood fad. But really we're being poisoned based on spraying Roundup to absorb the rain water so that these crops don't mold and so that they don't lose all the money. But now they're poisoning us. So now we have allergies to those things.
And then
Now you can sell you some allergy medication.
So now,
bam, bam, bam. Make
well, now,
money.
now you have all these problems because of gluten, but it's because when you can go eat gluten in Europe because they don't poison you over there, but how they poison us and they poison us across the board with
So
all
what
the
is
food we
gluten
have.
like,
So
for the bread made?
so now when it's gluten free, so now that the thing that based on spraying the Roundup on the crops, and I'm not fucking. This is not all right. I didn't come up with this. This is something I heard.
Shit here.
Shit for brains. Yeah. Obviously. But that's when he said it and he's draw a red line across 2005 or 2006. And I was like, holy shit, that's when I first had psoriasis on my left nipple. I was like, what the fuck is this? And now it's everywhere based on, now I have to do a gluten-free diet, sugar-free and dairy-free diet.
Gluten-free now.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But people think it's it's a Hollywood fad or whatever, but it's really because we're being poisoned based on that. And then we're having a gluten allergy because of that. So then they remove the gluten and now it's more expensive to buy that bread. but now they're making more money on that.
So
but at least it's
gluten-free
better for
bread
you.
should just be called like poison-free bread.
Exactly.
Zero poison. And one done that. Zero poison
Do you guys
bread.
have poison-free bread here? We do. We do have poison-free bread.
No poison in our bread.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of the food is definitely got some poison in it for sure.
Well, you see with
But-
Roundup, all the
These beers are
cancer,
poison
like-
free, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
There's no gluten here. That's the thing. I drink all this this wheat beer. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hefeweizen, I'm in. Blue Moon, give me 7.
Was that whole grain? No.
Yeah.
No, not on my watch.
My tummy gets a little funny with the grain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me 9 more beers.
Yeah. I think there is a very small portion of the population that know about that and maybe or they do actually have a gluten allergy. I think the other half do it just because it's like,
that's
it's
good for
it's
you,
a
yeah.
fad, it's a fad, and they don't know. Or like
I'm keto, vegan, gluten,
Yeah.
soy,
so many like
lactose.
fad diets and things that are just absolute horseshit. That
What can I eat? I fucking don't know. Water.
I just need something in front of me that's not bad for me. I don't eat that.
Yeah, I mean,
So I my meal plans show I get 12 meals a week that show up gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free. I don't have to think about anything. I'm good.
yeah. If you have that many like dietary restrictions, it can get a little tricky. But
Or you can watch Adventure Dumb and then learn how to eat that way.
learn how to eat
your
French
own
toast and turkey burgers every day, multiple times a day, and lose weight. Stay in shape for the trail, people.
Have toe socks.
Do the plugs. I got to take a leak.
All right.
Just want to know that on this podcast. Daddy's got to pee.
I think we can do the tags before you pee.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going
You
to
gonna piss
pee
your pants?
afterwards. I'm just going to fucking roll out of here.
Yeah, try to get out of here, man. Try to get out.
I got to be that bathroom right there, dude.
We're gonna make you piss your pants on the podcast. Pissy Pants
All right, man,
Podcast.
I'm
is what
already
we call it.
twitching.
All right.
Tony Pees His Pants podcast.
I'm Eric Rustler. You can go check more stuff about me on adventuredumb.com, on the YouTubes, on the Instagrams, or Eric Rustler on any of those. Just do the quick Googles. I also have a page called Audio Underdog. I'm going to start posting some music stuff on there. I do music as well.
Male Adele.
Male Adele. And
Tell them about your sports team that you're starting.
it's called the Sandlotters.
Sandalots.
Sandalots. But yeah, that's me. And what about you,
Tony Klein
Tony?
Comedian at Tony Klein Comedian on all the social medias and TonyKleinComedian.com, which is a non-updated website, which I will be updating. So look forward to that.
You want me to update it for you?
I would love for
Is
you
this
to do that.
Squarespace? What is it?
It's MySpace. You know, it's really.
I mean, I know it's your
my
space.
Oh yeah, I have
It's
the
a
TikToks
GoDaddy,
too.
GoDaddy.
I just started the TikToks.
He's
'cause Mark-
TikToking over here, people. At
Please don't say it
Mark
like
encouraged
that.
me to do the TikToks, which has been it's not that hard
way
to
he
learn.
says it's
curve.
just
For
rhyming
everyone
is-
that's scared to start a TikTok, it's pretty much the same upload process for like
Eric, I have to
Instagram
pee.
Reels.
Just let him fucking do his
Right.
promo. All right,
Okay.
fuck it.
Yeah. And Mark Rodriguez.
All right, that's right. My promo, Mark Rodriguez.
Slower.
Yeah,
You can
Mark
also find us at
Rodriguez.
Mastermind Media, Mastermind with a Y. Did I ever tell you why I called it with Mastermind with a Y?
Why, Mark?
I don't know why.
Good question. We actually used the
Tony
Wu-Tang name
pissing
generator.
himself right now.
And we did.
Really?
That's how we got it. But they didn't have the Y, but the I was already taken, so we went with the Y, but now we've made a whole thing from it. Speaking of Y, did you ever think... No, that's the show. Thank you for watching the Tony and Eric show.
Yeah,
Tony and
that-
Eric
that's
show.
what we
We
made.
have a name, everybody.
Yeah,
Eric
that's
and Tony
it.
show. Whatever.
Yeah, the Eric and Tony show.
Eric and Tony show.
We're
We're keeping it in
come up with a
alphabetical
logo.
order.
Oh,
ET
ETP.
show.
ETP. No,
ETP.
ETS.
Yeah. That's
T-E-T. I'm dumb.
Eric.
Letters.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching, and
Thanks.
good
Yeah.
day.
We appreciate you.
How's it going, Tony?